started. So hello, everyone. Welcome to this session of our Pioneer webinars. Thank you so much for taking the time this afternoon to join us. I'm going to introduce myself first. My name is Chelsea Risco, and I'm going to be your guys' host today. I've been with Pioneer for about 7 years, and I'm currently the e-learning specialist in our learning and development department, which pretty much means that I create online learning opportunities for our team members. And about a year ago, we began offering opportunities to our members in our communities, which is what you guys are partaking in. And it has been so fun and so rewarding. And I just love getting to interact with you guys. So thank you so much to all of you who joined me as we learned together. And I really hope you guys plan on joining again. But let's get started with our subject today, which is answering the question, are you safe from identity theft? I'm going to launch a quick poll real quick here. And that's about who knows someone who has been a victim of identity theft, or you yourself have been a victim of identity theft. Excuse me, it's not popping up. There it is. Launch. All right, so you should see it on your screen now. You can go ahead and tap your answer. So the question again is, do you know anyone that has been a victim of identity theft, either yourself, a family member, friend, an acquaintance? Maybe you've seen it on the news or social media, or maybe you don't know of anybody. That would be great. And you can click on multiple. So if you know of multiple people or instances that you've heard about it, you can click on more than one. You guys, just a couple more seconds. All right, we'll count down 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Okay, let's go ahead and share those results. So it looks like no one on today's call has been a victim. Thank goodness. Let's try and keep it that way. Unfortunately, though, we do know family members, even more friends who have been. And of course, we've definitely seen it on the news or on social media. It is very, very prevalent. So let's go ahead and jump in today and talk about what we're going to cover. So the issue of identity theft has become so prevalent in the recent years that the US government has actually made identity theft a federal crime. And that's actually punishable up to 2 years for general identity theft crimes and up to 5 years for terrorism-based identity theft crimes. So it's a big deal. And today we're going to cover what identity theft is, including how it occurs, how thieves use your information, how to protect yourself, and what to do if you become a victim yourself. So let's start with the basics. What is ID theft? So more than 1.4 million people were victims of identity theft in 2020. Identity theft is the crime of using another person's personal information, their credit history, or other identifying characteristics in order to make purchases or borrow money without that person's permission. It's easy to assume that it will never happen to us, but figures released by the Federal Trade Commission, the FTC, we're going to be talking about them a lot today. So remember that acronym, FTC. They're a consumer protection agency, and they show that identity theft reports in 2020 were more than triple the number from 2018. Triple the number from 2018. Cases reached more than 1.3 million in 2020. While looking back, cases reached 650,000 in 2019, and going back to 2018, only 444,000. I can't wrap my head around that completely, but it is tripled. It is huge, and it's happening. And victims include everybody. It includes children, even teens, adults, elderly. It affects all. And identity theft is scary, but we are going to help. Today, we'll arm you with tools to fend off identity theft, as well as resources and steps to take if, by some terrible chance, you do fall victim. So identity theft occurs in many different forms. There's computer crime, and this occurs when data is stolen from you during your online activities. There's personal betrayal, and this is going to occur when a friend, a relative, employee, or stranger steals your data. There's document loss. That happens when you lose your wallet, your checkbook, or your credit cards, or even your mail or trash is stolen. And then there's business leaks, and this occurs when your personal files are stolen and exploited from a place where you have conducted business. So I'm curious, have any of you experienced any of these events, even if it didn't turn into directly identity theft? So have you ever had any information stolen while you were online? If you had anybody, hopefully not, steal your data? What about information being stolen and exploited exploited from a place where you've done business? Can you guys chime in the chat box if you've experienced any of these? Yep, Jill, Target. You were right. That was the one I was going to point out to myself. Yep. So if you guys recall, I don't recall exactly how many years ago it was, but there was a breach in Target's data a few years back, and then another one at Home Depot within what seems like just a few months. And when we as a credit union get those alerts, we have to alert our members to say, hey, you've been part of this data breach. Your information is not safe. Your credit card information is not safe. Let's take steps, which included for me to get new credit cards twice. And that's a headache, you know? Then I had to go and change all my payments that had that credit card on file, and it became a big headache. Has anyone experienced their wallets or credit cards getting stolen, like physically, or maybe their mail? Let's see, Judy said Walmart charging monthly fee for online grocery delivery when I told them I don't want it. Oh, yes, that one's the one with the reoccurring charges. I've seen that happen quite a bit. Yep. And again, what's going to fix that? Probably turning off that card, unfortunately, so they can't have access to it. Yeah, I have had, unfortunately, an instance where my car was broken into. And luckily, they did not find my wallet, but it made me very aware that there's people out there that are trying to steal things, whether to use right away, or if someone steals your card, that's considered identity theft when they're acting as you to make purchases. So these all are very unfortunate events, but they're very real threats in our lives. So we have to be careful. So now that we know what identity theft is, let's talk about how it happens. So thieves are really good at what they do. They're really good, and they look for many opportunities to prey on individuals like we were just talking about. Some of them will steal and rob, like your wallet, your purse, backpack, or mail, like we talked about. There's some that will dumpster dive to get registration cards or insurance cards, mortgage statements, your bank statements from your own house or from a business. That's why we shred everything at Pioneer. There are those prominent email scams that say you're a winner or you have an inheritance from a Nigerian prince and they just need your information and your bank account to do that. Real quick, raise your hand. Have any of you received an email like that you were like a secret shopper, or you won the lottery, or you have a Nigerian prince who's your long lost cousin? Okay, so a few of you, yes. So unfortunately, yes, this is something we have to watch out for. It's in our emails, and we're actually going to dive into that more here shortly. Then we have those tech savvy thieves that actually apply card skimmers to ATMs or conduct corporate data breaches. Unfortunately, people are very smart, they're very educated, and sometimes they use their powers for bad, and that's not good. And Jill just asked, what is card skimming? Thank you for asking that. So that is where they add an additional device, usually at an ATM or at a gas station. And what it does is it attaches to the card scanning mechanism that you make your payment through. But what it's doing is it's collecting all that data from your card directly and then sending it to the thieves so they can steal it. And unfortunately, even Pioneer has become a victim of this. It made the news where we had someone apply a skimmer over the weekend about maybe 4 or 5 years ago. And so from that, we've taken additional measures to make sure that our devices are secure, that you can tell that it's not a skimming device, but it's always wise to just kind of jiggle the outside of the card scanner. If you go to a gas station, just make sure it doesn't come off, because if it's a skimming machine, it's going to come right off. And I know that's scary, but it's something that I've done just because, I hear the horror stories when I work in the institution, and I'm always wanting to protect myself and our members. So I'm sharing that information. Victory shared, when I used my card online, someone used my number. Yep, it is so common. We're going to jump right into those, which actually leads in. There's things called farming and phishing, which sound really fun, but let's talk about these last two a little more in depth. So farming is the process that steals information from unsuspecting internet users. So think about just browsing the internet, just having a good time. You're shopping, you're learning about things, you're finding new products. There are people who are actively preying on you and your information. So farming is a cyber attack, and it's intended to redirect a website's traffic to a different fake site. And furthermore, it's going to ask you to input information. So how can you be sure that you're on a legitimate site? Well, there is some ways. So before entering any personal information, it's important that you make sure it's secure. So right here on the screen, you're going to see what you see a lot of the times, which is the HTTP and then the colon in front of a web page, right? Well, did you know that a good telltale way to make sure you're on a safe site is that there's actually going to be an S there at the end. It'll be HTTPS. That is a secure website. And even sometimes in the web browser bar, you'll see a little lock. So if you ever visit Pioneer's webpage, especially your online banking, you're going to note that there's an S there after the HTTP, and you're going to note that there is a little lock that shows it's secure. If you ever get to a page that's HTTP without the S, it's asking for information, go ahead and just leave it be. Don't enter information. There's a very good chance that it's fraudulent. So let's move on to phishing. Again, sounds like a nice summer afternoon activity, right? But it's actually a practice that online fraudsters use to phish for confidential passwords and financial data from the sea of internet users using email. That's kind of funny, right? Okay. Well, it's not funny though, because again, let's go to those emails, right? So we were talking about those a little bit more. Let's do an exercise. I want you guys to look here at this email. And I want to see if you guys can spot what's wrong with it. Go ahead and put it in the chat, what you see. Are there any red flags you notice that to you would identify that this is an email that's not from a trustworthy source? So go ahead and put that in the chat, whatever you see, whether it's, I don't want to give the clues away, but maybe it's a grammar item or spelling, or maybe there's something that just doesn't feel right. Oh, there's no Wells Fargo logo. Or branding. Yep, no branding at all. That's a big red flag. Are any of you guys grammar or spelling nerds out there? Maybe you can see what might be there. Oh, yep. William noticed Well Fargo instead of Wells Fargo. So there's a spelling answer. Yep. Website is wrong. It's in Japan. Oh, yep. Good note there. You see that .jp there? Good eye, Jill. Spelling grammar mistakes. Yep. You guys are all on top of it. Look at you go. Good eyes. Regular screening. The account is not in. Yep. You guys are kind of rock stars at this, actually. Well done. Well done. So I went ahead and highlighted a few that I noticed too. You guys noticed as well. But here's some things you want to look at when you're getting these emails. First, misspellings. You guys saw that. There's Well Fargo instead of Wells Fargo. There's actually didn't highlight it, but automatically is spelled incorrectly in here too. Another thing is random web links. Those are not good, especially ones that say click here and then it shows the full thing. And then as you noticed, Jill, it says Japan, right? So that's probably not good. Other things like strange from email addresses. So again, online banking at Wells Fargo .text. I mean, that's just .co. That's just not very legit. Other things like a sense of urgency. So things are like right away, your information has been breached, blah, blah, blah. It's very scary. Or things like a generic greeting. So all you guys got even more than what I had listed. And again, these are all those red flags you want to pay attention to. Funny enough, I recently became a member of ICCU, and like within the last week, because I bought a new vehicle, and I love ICCU because they're a credit union, but let me just tell you, we are moving it over to Pioneer. Okay, now that I've addressed my moral dilemma, the story is that I got a text yesterday or day before yesterday, excuse me, and it was very fishy, and it said Idaho Central Credit Union, and it said like, get to this link and verify your account. And I was like, that seems really fishy. So the point of that is it's not just emails too, guys. It's also texts. So now there's people getting phone numbers instead of, I know everyone's getting the text about the extended warranty and your student loan debt being taken care of, but you have to be careful because you've also got these texts that are coming through and they can get your information through that as well. So again, being very careful to check. And remember that when it's a professional business, these things are not going to appear in this way if they're truly a professional banking, especially specifically, or from a large corporation. So how do you protect yourself if you get these things? Well, simply delete them. Don't answer them. Don't click on anything. Don't open attachments. Do not call any phone numbers that are listed in the email. You can even consider blocking the sender as well. And if you're ever unsure, so if you know this as well as Fargo, if you ever get anything from Pioneer or other credit union or financial institution, call, but don't use the number that's in the email. Make sure you Google the actual phone number of the business and give them a call, because more than likely we'll be able to confirm if it's true or not. Just like I did, I called ICCU and I said, hey, this was weird. And she's like, did it say this? And I was like, it sure did. And she's like, yep, nope, that's fraud. Please delete it. Don't answer it. Don't click on it. So you can always double check if you're not sure. And again, like I said, this goes for Pioneer as well. If you're a member, always feel free to call if something seems off. We are happy to help and verify for you. So good job and good eyes. So let's say some of these schemes work and information gets stolen. What exactly do thieves do with that information that they steal? So once identity thieves steal your identity, some things that they can do include applying for credit cards or loans in your name, and then buying merchandise to resell. So this is another one I've experienced, but caught is someone hacked into my Best Buy account, bought multiple iPads and Apple Pencils, and then tried to get them shipped to their house in Hollywood for the means of reselling. Luckily, I caught them, canceled the order, but again, it was very quick. And had I not been aware and looking at my emails, I would have probably been out a lot of money. Also, they might actually withdraw funds directly from your accounts. So again, making sure you watch your accounts, make sure nothing looks weird or something looks unfamiliar to you. Just making sure that you are checking on that consistently so that you don't miss any of these withdrawals that you just don't see and don't know. Make sure you're on top of that. Another thing they can do is establish services in your name. So they can actually use your health insurance to obtain medical care. They can sign up for things under your name so they get the benefits of it, but you end up paying for it. Another really sad one is they can actually use your social security number to steal your tax refund. And this happened to a friend of mine recently. They had planned to redo their yard. They were getting a pretty decent amount back, and he became a victim of identity theft. And that person got away with all of their tax refund, and they did not get any, and it really affected their finances. And then lastly, it's not just them on their own. Again, they're smart. They are going to sell your information on the dark web to other criminals. So these are all really scary things that could happen and have come close to happening to myself and people I know, maybe even to you or someone you know. And unfortunately, this is what we're up against, is people using their smarts to take advantage of people. So that's all pretty scary, but you need to know that there are ways you can protect yourself. So make it a point to regularly check your credit report. I've got another poll for you guys. Let me go back really fast. And this one is the question: when did you last review your credit report? So you have the choice of the last 30 days, the last 3 months, last 6 months, within the last year, within the last 3 years, or maybe you don't remember the last time you looked at your credit report. And there's no judgment here at all. This is a anonymous answer. Okay, you guys are almost all in there. So again, last 30 days, last 2 months, last 6 months, within last year, last 3 years, or you don't remember. Okay. Oh, Jill, yes, there is. She asked, is it possible to check a credit report without it affecting your credit score? Sure is. I'm about to hook you up, my friend. Okay, let's go ahead and end the poll and share the results. So we've got 29% of you saying that you have looked at it in the last 30 days. No one has checked it in the last 3 months or 6 months. We've got 2 of you saying that you did it in the last year, 14% of you in the last 3 years, and 29% of you guys don't remember the last time you looked at your credit report. So thank you for sharing that. I'm going to now share some information with you guys. So the best place to get your credit report is annualcreditreport.com. So make sure you write down that address right there. It's the website that was set up as a result of the Fair Credit Reporting Act that states that you are entitled to receive a free copy of your credit report. So right there, Jill, free does not affect your score. That also says that you have the right to see a copy of each of your 3 credit bureau reports every 12 months. So if you don't know, there's actually 3 different credit bureaus that all use the Fair Isaac Corporation scoring system for your credit score. What they do is they all take the information from FICO, they put it into their scoring, into their report system, and then that's what they use to give to credit unions, to dealerships, and those each can choose which one they want to use. At Pioneer, we choose to use Experian when we're opening accounts for members and when we're doing loan applications. But all the information should be the same across the board, which is why you do want to make a point to see all of them. So there's also a form you can use if you prefer to request your credit report by mail. If you want to see it mailed to you, that's totally fine. You just have to go to the website and still enter that information and they'll send it to you. You can also call the phone number there and they can help you through how to receive it. William asked, how often can you check that for free? Again, you guys are like mind readers. Let me tell you. So when you go to annualcreditreport.com, the screen's going to look similar to this. I did want to note the reports are free. So just to see what's on the report. So you'll see anyone you owe money to, how much you owe, what your payments are, any other notes about late payments or delinquency or anything like that. But if you guys want your actual scores, you will have to pay, and that's about $6 or $8 per credit bureau. So you can see this every 12 months. But I'm going to give you a little bit of a sneaky trick, if you will. So what you should do is you have the option of getting all 3 reports at the same time. So again, we have Experian, TransUnion, or Equifax. You can choose to get all 3 of those at the same time for free, and that's every 12 months. However, another option is to actually stagger the reports. So what you can do is ask for a different report every 4 months. So for example, I could ask specifically for my Experian report in May. Okay. Then let's say September rolls around. It's time. It's been 4 months. It's time to check again. I'm going to ask for the Equifax one. Then another 4 months goes by and I'm going to go ahead and ask for my TransUnion one in January. So per credit bureau, you get a free report every year. Okay, 1 year, 12 months from the time you last got it. So you can get yourself on this rotation of getting to be able to look at your report every 4 months. If you start, even now, you can start now. And then again, every 4 months, just ask for the next one. And again, they'll give you information on that on the website. So just keep that in mind. Why is your credit dinged when it's checked for a purchase? Great question, Judy. So on a credit report, there are things called inquiries. And that's actually tracked as part of your score. So what they're trying to show is how much you're shopping for money. So someone who might be struggling and is trying to get a loan at Money Tree and also at any other payday lender, or maybe they have been shopping around for credit cards. That's going to be a red flag to a lender. And so it is actually something that affects your score. The more that you get your credit checked, the more that your score will be affected by those inquiries. The good news, though, that you should keep in mind is that if you're buying a car or a house, your inquiries will be grouped together into a like inquiry. And so you won't get dinged each time for that. So I hope that makes a little bit more sense. We do have a session all on credit that I would love for you to look at. If you go on our YouTube channel, you can see that past recording of a webinar, and I dive in a lot deeper into credit reports and scores there, and we will answer that question on there too. So I don't have a link right now. I wish I could go grab it, but Judy, I will follow up with you and send you that link. Okay. One more thing I wanted to note about annualcreditreport.com is that you're going to be asked several security questions. There may even be trick questions. So for example, it might say that you opened a mortgage in May of 2008 and asked the name of the lender and you're like, what? I've never even taken out a mortgage. So the answer might be not applicable. Keep in mind that these questions are meant to ensure that you are who you say you are. Again, we're trying to avoid that identity theft. So again, to wrap it up here with the credit report thing, I really encourage you guys to take advantage of seeing that report 3 times a year instead of just once. And again, the reason for that is you can look at all the accounts and you can make sure they match up to what is actually going on in your financial world. If you see an account that doesn't really fit, might be a red flag. And you definitely want to get on top of those ID theft scares quicker than later. So, and we will dive into that a little bit later as well. Oh, so another big way to protect yourself is to use strong passwords. So here's some good rules of thumb. As annoying as it is, guys, I know it is annoying. I promise I understand because I do it too. But I really encourage you guys to use different passwords for each account. And I know this can be cumbersome and it can be annoying to have to try to remember them all, but I'm going to encourage you to also use a password manager. So one we use within the credit union is called Keeper. So if you search Keeper, you can actually use it. I believe it's free, if not very low in cost. And what that will do is you'll have one place for all your passwords, and it will even fill in your passwords for you. So you don't have to remember all of them. You just have to remember the initial login information for Keeper. And that way, if people get one of your passwords, they're not gonna be able to log into everything you have, which again is how my Best Buy account got hacked into, is because I used the same password. So learn from me. I did it wrong, so you can do it right. Also, don't just protect your accounts, protect your devices too. Make sure you're using passwords on your phone and your computer, and make sure to lock them, when you walk away from them. Also, try using longer passphrases instead of just passwords. These are easy to remember and they're more difficult to hack. So here's my example. Now is the time for pumpkins 1999. I have no idea what that is, but it just felt right. So again, phrases, full sentences, it's a lot to type, but it's a lot more secure. And the biggest thing is avoid your children's names, grandchildren's names, pet names, and even years of big events, because those things can easily be found on Facebook and used by a fraudster to have a better chance of getting your password. Victory said, how can we be sure Keeper is safe to list all of our passwords? Great question, Victory. There is never 100% assurance that everything will be safe. However, if a credit union is using Keeper, and we are like really on top of these things. We actually did this session last night and one of our IT specialists was on, and he had so many great items to input because he was like, here's what we do, because we are locked down. The last thing we would ever want is there to be a breach in the system at the credit union, because that is a lot of personal information that's financially based. And so we are extra vigilant. And so if we use Keeper, that's something that I trust, and something that he suggested too for consumers is that even though we use it as a credit union, it's a great option for consumers. And in his degree, which was specific to internet safety, he said it was a great option. So I hope that between his expertise and us as a credit union using it, that will make you feel safe. But again, you can always research, because there's lots of people who are trying to figure out how to be safe. There's people who have done testing, who've done the work to make sure things are safe. And so, yeah, I can't say everything's 100% perfect and safe because who knows? But as far as what we can do and doing our due diligence, I believe Keeper is a great option. So thank you for asking that. Okay, so again, another reminder to be vigilant. More ways to protect yourself. I want you guys to look at this list really fast. Taking a quick glance at each of these items, what we just discussed also about protecting yourself. And I'm curious if you could tell me, are there any ways you're currently putting yourself at risk? Or alternately, are there ways that you've really worked to protect yourself? So either things you're wanting to work on now that you've seen these lists, or something that you're like, you know what, I got this locked down. I just want to see what you guys have to say in the chat. Victory said, what about just keeping our own list at home? Again, is it for sure safe if someone's, if you have a friend over or your kid's friend comes over and they find that list and they take it? Is it for sure safe if you need to go work somewhere and you take that list with you and it gets lost? So there's risks in everything. There's definitely books where you keep your passwords written down, but again, how do you know it's 100% safe from the people in your life? I know that's scary. I'm not trying to be like a doomsdayer here. But again, Victory, there's risks in anything we do. So if you believe that you keep it in a safe spot and maybe you lock it up when you don't need it, it's in a safe, maybe like you're putting that kind of safety around it, maybe that would be the best option for you. For me, I move around a lot. I'm going different places, different devices. even on my phone. So I like having all my passwords available through Keeper just so that I can access them quickly. But if that doesn't work for you, then do what works for you. Just be sure you're taking those steps to be extra secure. So if you have it written down on paper, lock it up if you can, or hide it really well so that no one can come in and just take it. Which is, I mean, you don't want to think about anyone coming into your house and taking stuff, but it's happened, which is really unfortunate. You know, bad apples ruin the bunch. That's why we have to have these webinars. It's because unfortunately everyone's at risk. So, did anyone have any thoughts on any ways you're currently putting yourself at risk that you want to change? How about shredding documents? Does everyone shred everything? Does anyone have boxes of items that need shredded? Sometimes we have a shred day at Pioneer. So definitely take advantage of any of those shred days you see and get rid of those personal documents. Jill asked, where can we shred documents? So I know at Pioneer, we have shred days where we have the shred trucks come out. And actually, we try to do that annually. With COVID, it kind of changed. I'm hoping we're bringing that back. It's totally escaping my mind too. I might have to follow up with you on this too, Jill. Where I want to say the post office, but I don't think that's right. Oh, thank you, Michelle. She's right. Okay, so Michelle joined us. She also works at Pioneer. We have shred bins that can be used at any time now. That's right. That's right. Thank you, Michelle, because we found that shred days made it all one day, but we wanted to provide something for all the time. So, guys, come on in, bring your stuff to Pioneer, and we'll shred it for you. Apparently, we're not having dedicated days. We have bins. So, depending on how much you have, maybe come back, do half of it in 1 month and half the next month, just because we have to have the guys come get the shred bins. But bring your stuff to Pioneer if you need it shredded. Thank you, Michelle, for reminding me of that. And I know there's another place, and I don't know why I'm thinking the post office. It can't be the post office. Now I'm like, really? I'm like, I need to research this. This will be a follow-up thing. I'll just put a little note at the bottom of the email that says, and you can shred at, because I know there's like a public location in which you can always go take your things to shred. People have shred days. And then now, as Michelle reminded me, Pioneer allows you to come in. And are they only at certain branches? Michelle, I'm gonna have you fact check this, because I want to make sure I'm not giving any misinformation, because I almost just made it sound like we don't do shred days at all. And now the answer is actually we do shred all the time. So hold on, William, we'll check into that. I'll make sure you get an answer by the end of this. Okay, she's checking. Awesome. See, this is teamwork right here. So a shred bin is, think of a trash can, but it's locked. And only the branch manager has the key. Or the key is locked up with our other keys securely in the branch. And what that does is we put all of our stuff in there. Any documents we print off for our members that need to be shredded, we're not going to be throwing those in the trash ever, never, ever. It's always going to go in the shred bin. And so for members, same thing. You can lean into the security of having a locked trash bin that then goes and gets picked up by a truck and then is shredded immediately. So we've been working with our guys called Shred It. We've been working with them at least my whole career here, which has been 7 years. And they're who we partner with for all of our documents being shredded and taken care of. So again, if you guys have anything at home, make sure you bring it in. Michelle will let us know which branches you can bring it into. And you guys can have that added security so you're not having papers floating around your house. Thank you, Michelle. Okay, let's move on real quick. I want to make sure I make good use of our time together and don't make you guys stay late. So let's say that you do everything right, but the thief still gets a hold of your information. Now what? So I've got a few steps for you. We're going to walk through them. But first, let's identify how we would know that we've become a victim. So do you guys know of any ways that you would know for sure? What are some red flags that you're like, oh no, it's happened. I've become a victim of identity theft. In the chat, can you throw in how you would know? What kind of things would be clues to that? Might have given you guys some clues earlier. Yes, good job, William. Fraudulent charges. Yep. You've got these transactions taking place that you did not partake in. Oh, and sorry, Vanessa, I just noticed you got some questions in the Q&A going back to the FICO score. Yes, the score you're seeing is the FICO score. They all use FICO. FICO is the mothership, if you will, of credit scores. They have a secret sauce, a secret formula in which they score people's credit worthiness, which is your credit score. And so all of them will be the FICO score. Yes. Security on my phone let me know of a breach on the dark web. Ooh, that's good. You had security on your phone. Man, I wish my phone told me about that. Thank you for putting those in there, Vanessa. Sorry, I missed those before. FICO stands for Fair Isaac Corporation. They are the, like I said, the company that figured out the scoring system and they sell it to the credit bureaus. So the credit bureaus can make the report and give it to credit unions, banks, and anyone else that lends money. So that we know how creditworthy the people we're lending money to. Oh, good. Okay. Jill, you mentioned unknown purchase on a bank statement. Yes, Michelle, you shared a link with everyone. The tore up shred perks are available at all branches. Fantastic. So you guys can go to any branch to shred your documents. Okay, cool. Thank you, Michelle, for looking at that. I really appreciate it. Okay, so let's go through the list that I put together for how you might know you become a victim. Number one, you're being billed for purchases you didn't buy. You guys got that one. This is going to include invoices for purchases you don't recognize, or if you're being billed for overdue payments for credit accounts you don't own, that's a big sign that you've been victimized by identity theft. Number two, you no longer get your household bills in the mail. So if you're the type of person who likes to get those and all of a sudden they stop showing up, that could mean that your personal data has been compromised and the identity thief has changed your billing address to really keep you off of the trail that they've done something bad. Also, you might be turned down for a loan or a credit. So if you're rejected for credit, but you have a history of good credit health, you might be targeted by identity theft because if you usually are like, yep, I'm good, let's get this loan, and all of a sudden you're getting denied, you're like, hold on a second, that's a good chance that something is fishy on there. And also another sign is if you actually are approved for a loan, but you notice that the higher interest rate is like crazy high and not what you were expecting, again, another sign that you've been victimized by identity theft. So making sure to keep an eye on that credit is something we've been talking about a lot. So there's another way you can kind of battle that. Next one, your financial accounts have transactions that appear fraudulent. So again, if you guys see unauthorized transactions, those might be breached. Also, if your tax return is rejected, so we're coming up on tax season. So if you filed your tax returns and received a rejection notice from the IRS, that could be a sign that a tax return has been fraudulently filed in your name. And the last one, this one's very sneaky, I think, is that there can be test charges that appear on your credit card statement. So it's a common practice for identity thieves to test that stolen cards are still active by making like a low cost purchase under like $5 or so. And if their credit card's approved, then the fraudster knows that the path is clear for those larger transactions. So there's some signs. If you ever see that, now what do? Right? You've confirmed that you're a victim. Your world is spinning. Everything is terrible. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to contact government authorities. So you have the right to create an FTC identity theft report. Remember, FTC is the Federal Trade Commission. They're on your side. They want to help. So your FTC identity theft report helps prove to a business or multiple businesses that someone stole your identity, and it makes it easier to correct problems caused by identity theft. And you can actually create that report just by filing a report with the FTC on that website right there. And the way that report helps you is it acts, let's go back. It acts as a declaration of your innocence. It helps start the investigation. So keep in mind, when you do a police report, this serves as a sworn statement that you were not responsible for any crimes that someone committed using your name. If someone accuses you of a crime that you committed, that they committed in your name, you can show them the sworn statement. So likewise, filling out an identity theft report on that website. It serves similar function. In most cases, it's an official statement about the crime. You need that because you're going to have to go prove this to everybody and prove your innocence. So the FTC recommends filing an identity theft report first, and then including it if or when you actually file a police report. So the next step is to contact those creditors and financial institutions. So anyone you have a loan with, anything that you're seeing that's fishy, you have the right to stop creditors and debt collectors from reporting fraudulent accounts. After you give them a copy of that FTC report, they may not report fraudulent accounts to the credit reporting companies anymore. Also, you want to get copies of the documents related to the theft of your identity. So any transaction records or applications for new accounts, you can write to the company, you can go in and ask them, make sure you show them a copy of that FTC identity theft report, and they will have to give you the documents that have to do with that, so that you can give those to the specific law enforcement agency to use as evidence. Also, you can stop debt collectors from calling you. So again, if it's late, you haven't checked, and all of a sudden you're getting debt collection calls and you're like, I'm sorry, what? Like, in most cases, they're going to have to stop contacting you after you send them a letter telling them to stop. But then also get any written information from the debt collector about that debt. We want to get information, including the name of the creditor, the amount that you supposedly owe. And if a debt collector contacts you about the debt, request this information in writing. Okay, then next up, we're talking about those credit bureaus again. So again, Experian, TransUnion, Equifax, okay? You have the right to place a 1-year fraud alert on your credit report. And what this does is it tells that creditors, so like any banks, credit unions, they must take reasonable steps to verify who is applying for credit in your name. To place a report, just contact any one of those 3 credit bureaus, and whichever one you contact, they have to tell the others. So it will be across the board. Also, you can place a 7-year extended fraud alert on your credit report. And to do this, you have to send a copy of that FTC report to each credit bureau. And the extended fraud alert means that potential creditors must contact you before they issue credit in your name. So you're extra protected. And then you can also get credit bureaus to remove fraudulent information from your credit report. This is actually called blocking. You do have to send them a copy of that report, proof of your identity, and a letter stating which information is fraudulent. And then they must tell the relevant creditor that someone stole your identity, and creditors cannot turn fraudulent debts over to debt collectors. So again, God forbid this ever happens, but just know there's things and there's people in place, there's companies in place that are there to help you. The next thing, and it may seem kind of weird to contact the local authorities, but remember, identity theft is a crime and your local authorities can help in 3 cases. So 1, maybe you know the identity thief, or you have other information that could aid in police investigation. Or if an identity thief used your name in an actual encounter with the police, which is kind of scary. But for instance, this might involve like a traffic stop and they say that there's someone else. That's not good. A creditor, debt collector, or other affected party insists that you produce a police report. So if they're saying you need one, you can get one from your local authorities. And this also might mean that you need to get in touch with authorities in the location of where that took place. Again, our IT specialist, Adam, mentioned that he had fraud that took place in Idaho Falls, and he had to talk to their local police department in order to create that police report. In most other cases, you can report identity theft to the identitytheft.gov, which was that site on that first slide there. The FTC set up a website as kind of a one-stop shop for reporting many types of identity theft. It also helps you with setting up a recovery plan. So I know I gave you a ton of information just now, more so that you know that the steps are relatively easy to pick up the pieces, but also to know that you have multiple people in place to help. We have the FTC, you have the credit bureaus, you have your creditors, and even the police that can help. Real quick, we had a question. Does your $1.99 a month on bank statements cover help from PFCU? Yes, it does. While we would not ourselves as Pioneer be the ones to help you with the identity theft, the company that we buy that protection from would be the ones that you would partner with, and they would take care of you. And I've seen them take care of members before in these terrible cases. And essentially they're going to do the same thing, but they'll guide you through these steps so you don't have to do it yourself. They'll help you with getting the report made. They'll help you with getting it to where it needs to be. And yes, that $1.99 that you pay each month is to protect you, anyone in your household, and any accounts that you have outside of Pioneer. So you are very well covered if you're paying that $1.99 every month. And I highly suggest that you keep that on there. Because again, $2 a month is a lot cheaper than thousands of dollars that you'll never get back. And again, we never know what could happen, but again, getting those pieces put back together, and that's what it kind of seems like is when you become a victim of identity theft, there's so many things out of your control. There's so many what ifs. There's so many pieces and parts moving that you have to cover. It's so much better to have someone there to do that with you and even for you in some cases. So that is what you're paying for, and it's a very great coverage. So thank you for asking about that, Victory. Okay, so lastly, in the take action, I just want to encourage you guys to make copies of everything. If you have to make copies of the police report, make copies of the FTC complaint, you'll need these to resolve any of those disputes with those companies where that identity thief used your name. And I'm curious if any of those take action items were new or surprising to you. Did you know that you could do all those things? Were there any that really stuck out to you that you were like, wait, I can do that, or that can happen? And that includes anything with the credit bureaus, anything with the FTC, anything with local authorities. Did any of those things surprise you that I just listed off? Okay, so William's raising your hand, so you would say yes. William, will you tell me which thing was surprising to you? I'm just curious. Or anyone else? I'll say for me, it was really interesting to learn about what the credit bureaus could do as far as putting those protections on my credit report. I didn't know that that could happen. And I've seen people using it again, because I did work in the branch for a short period of time before I moved into our department. And I saw people who would come in for loans, and I would go to pull their credit report and it would be locked. And I'd be like, whoa, what's this? And then they'd be like, oh, yeah, I had some identity theft and I went ahead and put that lock on there. And then, I just followed the steps to verify who they were, and we were able to move forward. But again, just knowing that you could have that protection is something that to me was really encouraging. Okay, we're almost done. I really want to get you guys out of here as close to on time. I know we're a little bit over. You guys had such wonderful questions. So let's review with some more ways you can take action. So I want you guys to become familiar with the laws that protect you so you don't get taken advantage of. It's important to read media material on new laws or changes to existing laws relating to identity theft. In other words, I just really encourage you guys to be wise and ready so that you understand what your rights are and what things are protecting you. So a couple of those that he tabs on are the Identity Theft and Assumption Deterrence Act, which makes identity theft a federal crime. Also, the Identity Theft Penalty Enhancement Act, which provides greater penalties for identity thieves. So just again, things you can see that the government's really trying to do to crack down on this. And lastly, you can be aware of other current scams by accessing the FTC's scam alert page. So you can actually Google FTC scam alerts and you'll see all of the prominent scams that are happening right now, so that you're aware and you can protect yourself. And then again, one more thing I want to take a moment to share about is a resource that we offer for free to our members, and that is Green Path Financial Wellness. We partner with them to provide our members with direct person-to-person financial counseling and guidance for every part of life. But specifically, if you've suffered a financial loss because of identity theft that cannot be recovered, I really encourage you to contact this great resource to help you get back your peace, get back on your feet, and like I kind of mentioned before, getting those pieces back in place. And again, we hope it never happens, but if it does, we do have ways to help. So at this point, we're going to wrap it up with any key takeaways you want to share, any questions you have. I do want to say if you're going to be heading out, because we are over time a little bit, thank you so much for attending. Please take that survey that's going to pop up at the end of this. You could win a $25 e-gift card that I would send right to your email. But I'd love to hear what you have to say about our subject today, our webinars in general, things you want to see in the future, and what times work for you. This is our first time offering a 12 o'clock session, and a lot of you joined, so I have a feeling this will be ongoing, but let us know what works for you. And again, you could win a $25 e-gift card. So Jill asked, who actually pays for the loss when theft occurs and protection covers it? The unfortunate thing is that the loss of funds is not always something that can be regained. If they can find the person and prosecute them, then yes. In some cases, I want you guys to know at Pioneer, if there's been fraudulent activity on your cards, you can dispute those transactions. And either we can get the money back from the company that was paid, or because we want to protect our members, there is a threshold in which we will just go ahead and refund the funds for you, because we don't want you to be out money. If it's a very large amount, though, that's going to be something where we're going to have to get the authorities involved, and we hope to find the person and hold them accountable. But unfortunately, there are times where people take losses, and that's why we really want to prepare you guys to not be victims and to know the signs and to avoid any risks that you could be a victim. Again, we'll help as much as we can, but there have been times where it's been $3,000, and unfortunately, they're pursuing the thief, but in the meantime, there is not a way to get those funds back because it is a crime. It's just like someone coming in and stealing money from your purse. Unless we know who it is, we can't really get that back, but we try our best. And again, that $1.99 is going to be to help you not take any further losses that come to your credit, that come to any other purchases. And so, unfortunately, a lot of this comes to prevention. And a lot of what we can help with is, how to prevent it ahead of time, how to help you after. But we just really hope that by providing that, we aren't going to see anyone become a victim. But yeah, I know that's kind of unfortunate news because it is a crime, it's a loss. And if there's no one to hold accountable, we can't. But for smaller amounts and disputes, like if someone steals your card, that's things that we can help with. So I hope that answers your question.